So hello guys, and welcome to another video, and I have been really enjoying the Super Mario RPG Remake. It's definitely becoming one of my favorite Mario games, and definitely up there with my favorite Mario RPGs alongside Thousand Year Door, 64, the Mario and Luigi series, and it's just a really fun game in general. There's a lot of charm and personality, the battle system is amazing, definitely an improvement from the original, and I'll definitely get into that in a little bit with the topic, since I'm going to talk about what this remake means for the future of Mario RPGs, and how they could implement some of these features from the Super Mario RPG remake in future Mario RPGs. So, I feel like the future of the Mario RPGs is really bright right now. Even though we only know about the remakes and everything, the next thing coming out is the Thousand Year Door remake, which is huge. That is a monumental release, alongside Super Mario RPG, which is also, like, very big. But I feel like there's nowhere, like, they could go with this without kind of expanding upon this. Like, Nintendo really can't go back now. They already set people's expectations very high with both the Mario RPG remake and the Thousand Year Door remake, so I don't really think they can go back from here. That would be a huge mistake, and it would definitely be pretty disappointing. I don't know why they would do that, but I feel like the remakes we're getting now is definitely a sign of things to come. Like, I don't know why they would make these remakes and then go back to, like, completely ignoring the Mario RPGs. With the Mario and Luigi series, I feel like for those games, like, with the remakes, that was more of a case where Alpha Dream had to release something because they didn't really have a budget big enough to do anything on Switch, unfortunately, and Nintendo didn't support them enough, so they ended up releasing those remakes, which didn't do well, obviously, because the Switch was already out, and it was already out for 2 years by the time that the Bowser's Inside Story remake released. So Alpha Dream ended up going bankrupt and went defunct, which I feel like is a different case from what we're getting now. Now it seems that Nintendo is gauging the interests of the Mario RPGs again, and is seeing like how much, and is kind of hearing how much people have been wanting these games again, ever since, like, I guess, like, the Paper Mario series started to kind of do its own thing, or the Mario and Luigi series, like, since Dream Team, either in Paper Jam, it was pretty generic, or with the remakes, it wasn't a new game, and was also on the 3DS as well when the Switch was already out. So now it seems like Nintendo is actually caring. It actually seems like they're listening to the fans in terms of what they want for the Mario RPGs. So I think this is an entirely different case from what happened with Mario and Luigi. So, with some things that I could see happening in the next Mario RPGs, and like some features that I'd love to see from the Mario RPG remake kind of brought over into other Mario RPGs, is special enemies. That's the first thing that I really want to see, since in the remake, it rewards you with more EXP and a frog coin, while this enemy is more powerful and has more HP, and this concept is kind of built off of the idea from, like, the paper shiny enemies from Paper Jam. I know the shiny enemies in Sticker Star were more so just powerful variants of the regular enemies that were on later levels, kind of like the palette swaps for enemies in Super Mario RPG. There's also like palette swaps of different enemies in the older Paper Mario games as well that have like a slightly different name. But the shiny enemies in Paper Jam were more along the line of the special enemies in the Super Mario RPG remake, so I'd love to see them kind of expand upon that concept in other games. Like, I think it's a great idea, and like having special enemies be every like few enemies you encounter would be nice. It's nice to see a change of pace, because it kind of helps you to change your strategy, so you're not doing the same thing over and over again. You have to change your strategy when you see a stronger enemy that has higher attack power. I think that's just a really cool concept in general, and I'd love to see it in more Mario RPGs. And another thing are the boss rematches. I haven't gotten to them yet since I haven't beaten the game for Super Mario RPG yet, but it is a really cool concept, and it kind of expands upon the concept of like the Mario and Luigi series, where they had like the more powerful bosses, as well as like the basically an Origami King where you could like play the bosses again. But I think there was also like a high score, like time limit thing involved with it. So it wasn't exactly like just replaying the bosses again, but um, I definitely like the idea of boss rematches, and I like how it kind of expands upon the concepts of like the Mario and Luigi series. So I'd love to see that kind of expanded upon even more and included in future Mario RPGs. And then there's also the combo system, which is amazing. I really like that. I feel like they could really implement that into any Mario RPG, like either the Mario and Luigi series or Paper Mario, since they all deal with action commands. I mean, I'm fine with it not being in Thousand Year Door, because it already kind of has a combo system of its own, with the stylish moves. I mean, it's not exactly like a combo system, but it is kind of like a similar concept of trying to rack up a certain amount of points and everything. So Thousand Year Door doesn't necessarily need a combo system because it already has the stylish moves, so I'm fine with the remake not kind of bringing that concept over. But in other games like the Mario and Luigi series or even other Paper Mario games, it would be amazing to see like a combo system for like the action commands and everything. Like especially like Paper Mario, aside from like Thousand Year Door and everything, like in a future game, it would be really cool. Like with the amount of correct action commands that you get, since Paper Mario, like the Mario RPG remake, especially the Mario RPG remake, since I feel like there's even more of an emphasis with the action commands this time, I feel like it would be really cool to see like the action commands kind of have like even more of a use. And yeah, like I said, like Paper Mario has a very heavy emphasis on the action commands and everything. So yeah. So another thing that kind of, and again, it expands upon the idea of something that was in another Mario RPG that was brought into the Mario RPG remake, and has like even more of an interesting idea here, is the monster list, which I think is really cool, and it's almost similar to the Piclopedia in some ways, since you actually get like the view and kind of have some interaction with the enemy there. You can kind of view its stats and its thought peak and everything. It's kind of an expanded version of the Tattlelog from Thousand Year Door, as well as like I said, the Piclopedia. Though it seemed like it just kind of took inspiration from that. But yeah, it is a really cool concept, and it really kind of like incentivizes you to go out of your way to thought peek every enemy, which I think is really cool. Thousand Year Door and 64, like the incentive to tattle every enemy in that game, or at least 64 was to get the like the enemy's health. But in Thousand Year Door, there was also the Tattlelog as well. So it would be really cool to see like even more things, like something kind of like the Thought Peak, or I guess technically called Psychopath in the original game, where it kind of has like a little message or a little thought associated with each enemy, or you could actually view the enemy with its different animations and things. That is really cool, and I really like that. It's definitely a very fun way to complete the game. It's definitely a really fun game completion condition. So yeah. And then there's also the high quality cutscenes, and they just look absolutely amazing in the Mario RPG remake. Like they're pre-rendered, and they have like a really nice style to it. Like they almost look like the promotional renders in motion, because that's basically what they are. And it's kind of similar to the modern Paper Mario cutscenes. I mean, the modern Paper Mario cutscenes are very few and far between. There's only like just a couple in the entire game. So I'd love to see like even more cutscenes, like pre-rendered cutscenes, like scattered throughout like some of the games, like the Thousand Year Door remake. I really hope it has some pre-rendered cutscenes that are almost similar to both Origami King, as well as like Color Splash in the Mario RPG remake. So yeah, that would definitely be really nice to see, because it definitely adds on to the presentation. And then another thing that deals with difficulty, like the special enemies and boss rematches, is like a difficulty toggle. Well, in the Mario RPG Remake, I am a little disappointed that it doesn't have a hard mode. Like, the difficulty toggle only allows you to go between easy mode and normal mode. So I feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity that they didn't do a hard mode. But the fact that there is a difficulty toggle there in general is great, and it kind of opens up the possibility of a hard mode in the future. And also, I like the fact that the easy mode is separated off into a different mode, rather than being kind of baked in with the regular game. That's like the one thing I kept saying about a Mario Wonder, as well as the other 2D Mario games. Like with those games, they kind of bake in the easy mode with like the normal mode by having the easy mode characters. And when criticizing that aspect, I forgot to mention that other Mario spin-off, or not Mario spin-offs, but Mario franchise games in general, including the spin-offs, kind of do that as well, including the Mario RPGs. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is the accessories in the Origami King. Because I think there is like you have to not use the accessories at all, or not use certain accessories to 100% the game, which is just very bizarre to me. I mean, it makes sense when you realize that the accessories are really just kind of making the game easier, but they kind of marketed it like it was some kind of badge replacement, like it was replacing the badges from the older Paper Mario games. And I mean, yeah, they are kind of like the badges, like the HP Plus and the FP Plus from the older Paper Mario games, which were in itself were kind of things that were making the game a little easier in those games, but these were just kind of scattered throughout the entire game, and were practically in easy mode baked into the game. So, in future Mario RPGs, I really hope they have a toggle where the easy mode is separated off into a completely separate mode, just like the Mario RPG Remake. I really hope they do that. Like, I am completely fine with an easy mode in the game, especially in an RPG where, like the Mario RPGs, like Pokemon, are gonna be a lot of people's first RPGs ever. So I think it is important to have an easy mode in these games, because it kind of eases people into the genre. A lot of kids kind of get introduced to this genre with like the Mario RPGs, and will probably be introduced to it with Super Mario RPG. So I definitely think it's important to have that toggle there. And another like final thing about like different kind of features and aspects is the creativity of Mario RPG. I mean, that's something that was in the original 1996 version of the game, but they retained a lot of the personality, charm, and character designs in the remake, so I'd love to see more games that are just as unique and interesting as the original Super Mario RPG. So that's why I think it's really cool that this remake retains most of the aspects, because it kind of opens up the possibilities that more Mario games and more Mario RPGs will be very creative and very interesting. And like I said earlier, I feel like Nintendo really can't go back now. Like, that would be a bad idea. So, yeah. And another thing that I wanted to mention, other than like the different features introduced in Super Mario RPG, is the developer itself, Arte Piazza, which developed like the handheld Dragon Quest games in the past, as well as like a few other games like Opuna on the Wii, and I think they also did a couple other like remasters and like their own games and things, mostly for Square Enix. But the Mario RPG remake opens up a ton of possibilities, since they now can work with Nintendo and they can do more projects with Nintendo. And while they could do like other games and other remakes for Nintendo, I'd love to see them either do a sequel to the original Mario RPG. Like, I mean, I know technically Paper Mario is like the sequel to it, since it was originally called Super Mario RPG 2, but I mean a proper sequel. Or a Mario and Luigi game could be one thing that they could develop, because I definitely think they're capable of developing a Mario and Luigi game, since I feel like Super Mario RPG kind of laid the groundwork for the Mario and Luigi series, so they could easily do something like a new Mario and Luigi game, like, in, like, a slightly new style, or at least kind of adapt that style into HD. I mean, I am very confident with them adapting that style from the Mario and Luigi series in HD, due to how they kind of handled the Mario RPG remake. But yeah, with a sequel to the original Mario RPG, like, I think that would be amazing because of all these things that they added in the remake. Like, originally, I was thinking, like, maybe a Mario RPG sequel isn't really necessary, because the Mario Luigi series already expanded upon the concepts of this game, as well as Paper Mario, in a different way. They each kind of went off into different paths, while doing some things fairly similarly, but both having their roots in Super Mario RPG. So I didn't really think a sequel to the original game was entirely necessary, until I played this remake. Because this remake actually makes Super Mario RPG a little more distinct from Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi, while also retaining many of the elements that makes it similar to Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi. And I think this remake could really create a third branch of the Mario RPGs, or technically a fourth branch if you're counting the Mario plus Rabbids games, but really a third branch in the traditional Mario RPGs, since this battle system is so good. Like, it really, like, the original already kind of felt like somewhere in between Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi, but it just feels so much more satisfying now that you have combos and you now have that gauge that you fill up that do, like, the triple moves and special moves and everything. I think that's really cool, and that's basically this game's version of the special moves from Paper Mario or the Bros attacks from Mario and Luigi. I mean, even though it's not as involved as the Bros attacks, it still is very cinematic, and in future games, they could have, like, more, like, action commands involved with them and everything. So this battle system is just really good, and I really hope they expand upon it and everything, in a similar way to how they did with, Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi. Like, they just did so much with this remake. Like, it seems simple, but it just goes a long way with what they did. And then also the fact that a perfect action command does splash damage, as well as blocking perfectly, you take 0 damage, but you also get a status effect if that enemy inflicts a status effect on you. So, I think that's really cool. The splash damage thing, I feel like even though that makes the game a little easier, in future games, they can compensate for that by having stronger enemies and kind of emphasize the splash damage part a little more. They could really do a lot with this. Like, there is much more depth with this battle system now that they added a lot of these things. And, like, these designs in general that they have in the remake are also very distinct from, like, regular Mario games. I mean, they kind of took that original style from Super Mario RPG and modernized it with some of the elements from modern Mario games, but also made it very distinct. Like, Mario himself, as well as the other existing Mario characters like Bowser and Peach, look very distinct in this game. They kind of have that chibi-esque style to them. And, like, a lot of the other characters have that too. So I'd love to see that kind of expanded upon in a sequel to Super Mario RPG. And they could also kind of break some of the boundaries that they were doing in this remake, like, rather than making it, like, super intact to, like, the Super Nintendo style and everything, they could make things go a little farther. Maybe they could have bigger worlds, maybe they could change the perspective a little bit. I mean, it could still be, like, the isometric view, but they might have, like, a little more depth to it to make it seem a little more modern. And yeah, like, kind of modernize even more of the elements that they didn't necessarily have to do in this remake. So that would be really cool to see a sequel to it, as well as, like, a new Mario & Luigi game, as I mentioned before. But yeah, like I said, the future is bright for Mario RPGs, and the Mario RPG Remake is really the first glimpse at the future of Mario RPGs. So yeah, this remake is really good, and I really recommend playing this if you love Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi, the original Mario RPG, or even Mario in general, or haven't played any RPGs before or were interested in the genre, because this is a great starting point for RPGs. But yeah, I'm definitely going to elaborate on that more in my review. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Twitter if you want to. Goodbye.